Coming up on this special edition of the ICT Newscast. The beginning of 2024 has been a booming year for Indigenous people in movies and television, from a history-making actress on the big screen to Indigenous creatives on streaming services. We have all that and more ahead on the ICT Newscast.
This program is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.
Support for the ICT Newscast with Aaliyah Chavez comes from the Arizona PBS studios in Phoenix at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communications at Arizona State University.
Amirawa Hopa. Thank you for joining us on this special edition of the ICT Newscast. I am Aaliyah Chavez. Fans of actress Lily Gladstone are anxiously circling their calendars for the date Sunday, March 10th, because it is Oscar Awards Day. The Blackfeet and Nez Perce creative has made history as the first Native American woman nominated for Best Actress of the Academy. While she's the first Native American person in this category, there have been previous Indigenous nominees like Mixtec and Triqui actress Yalitza Aparicio for the film Roma and Maori actress Keisha Castle-Hughes for the film Whale Rider. Here is more on Gladstone's background and her role in Killers of the Flower Moon. Lily Gladstone is named after her great-grandmother, a relation she carries from her father, which is where her Native heritage comes from.
I mean, my name, Lily, I'm the namesake of my great-grandmother, and my father being the oldest boy of all of his cousins and his family, it's a very traditional thing that the oldest grandchild is raised by, or at least raised very much with, their grandparent. So my dad spent so much time with my great-grandma Lily, almost as much as my cousin Deline, who she raised. It's her granddaughter that she raised as her daughter. The stories that I was given being her namesake and being my grandma's oldest granddaughter, I carry my family legacy, and I'm expected to carry my family legacy in a way. When I was offered the role of Molly Burkhart on Molly Burkhart's birthday, which nobody designed, it just happened that way, it felt a little bit like, I don't know, maybe Molly reaching through time a little bit and like tapping me on the shoulder for it or something. Just a wonderful, one, sign-off, but also an immediate reminder. It's like my excitement about booking this role. It's like, this is a real woman. And she was born only 10 years before Grandma Lily, and there's a lot of similarities. They went through a lot of the same things.
Gladstone's performance in Killers of the Flower Moon, which highlights the Osage Reign of Terror, thrust the 37-year-old actor onto one of Hollywood's biggest stages. In this behind-the-scenes clip while filming the movie, you can briefly hear Gladstone working with director Martin Scorsese and co-star Leonardo DiCaprio. She weighs in on the direction of a scene and jokingly says, "I'm having fun bossing around right now." Her talent has caught the attention of many, including movie critics and award show decision makers, leaving some to wonder if awards were something on her mind.
Leo asked me kind of the same thing the first week of shooting. And I told him, like, I cannot think about it. The only thing I'm thinking about is Molly and this story. It is, of course, something I have to think about. Insofar as I would just really love to speak some of my language and teach myself a little bit more of my language to have and hold in that moment. So that's my charge.
Well, mission accomplished. After winning Best Actress at the Golden Globes, she spoke Blackfeet. People noticed around the world. Perhaps most significant are the young Blackfeet children who were watching at home.
Goosebumps hearing that language. I love everyone in this room right now. Thank you.
The future is bright for Gladstone, so is she getting the opportunity to enjoy the moment?
It's got its own pace, it's got its own rhythm, it's temporary. So like anything that is temporary and fleeting, you just have to enjoy the moment.
Reporting for ICT News, Aaliyah Chavez. ICT will, of course, bring you all of the latest coverage on Lily Gladstone, and you can check our website, ictnews.org, for more, too. We do want to note the young Blackfeet girl who we heard at the end of that story is 3-year-old Soleil from Montana. What a nice moment for her and her family. The Marvel series Echo was released in January 2024 to the streaming services Disney Plus and Hulu. ICT's Mackenzie Allen Charmley tells us how it makes Hollywood history.
The series stars an Indigenous lead, deaf and amputee character who is played by an actress who represents all of those communities. I attended the red carpet earlier this week to really learn what Echo and this representation means to Hollywood. Smiles, laughs, and signs. Marvel's newest hero is Indigenous and deaf, and here at the premiere of Echo, that representation is groundbreaking.
I think it's everything. It's very few times do we get to work on something that is representing a tribe, and the tribe is involved as much as it was here.
Collaboration ranged from Native actors, writers, ASL experts, and directors to tribal representatives on the Choctaw Nation. All throughout production, Echo's goal was to ensure accuracy on screen.
Everything I did, I always ran past the Choctaw. It was very important for me to be able to make sure that everything was culturally correct.
Indigenous anti-hero Maya Lopez is the star of the new Marvel, Disney Plus, and Hulu TV series, played by Menominee and Mohican citizen Alaqua Cox. Her character is the first Indigenous, deaf, and amputee lead in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and is played by an actress who belongs to all three communities.
While Echo makes history in many ways, it paves the way for increased representation for Indigenous people in media.
Well, for me, it's about, because we've been a part of this and I got to play a small part in it. So for me, it's really about showcasing our history and our culture to the world. The stickball game is very authentic sticks, the game and how it's highlighted. So that is just a wonderful thing for us, again, to see our history and culture displayed.
So I think walking around set and knowing that if I had a question in relation to my Choctaw lines, if I had a question in regards to the ASL, those questions would be helped. I would be supported in whatever I thought would achieve the most representation that's authentic through my character, which is Choctaw. That's all she speaks.
For many of the stars, working on a show like Echo was a dream come true.
Little Alaqua would be like, oh my gosh, so thrilled. I wish I would be able to tell little Alaqua, just like, she just never believed in herself, and now I'm like here as a superhero and I made it through it and I want to tell her we can. Little Alaqua would just be so thrilled and proud of who we are.
It's a lot of hard work. It's not, all this is glamorous and great, but no one sees behind when you're making a film. It's really hard work.
All in all, the series is guaranteed to leave an echo in Hollywood.
You're gonna love it.
There's a powwow scene. It's very beautifully shot. I think people are going to be really also amazed about the battle scenes, the fight scenes. It's brutal. It's more violent. It's darker.
And an echo in Indian country.
If I had seen shows like Echo when I was growing up, like the fact that our youth get to see this now just means so much. It would have meant everything. It would have changed what I thought was possible for our communities. It would have changed how I saw myself and what was possible in the world off my res.
In Los Angeles, Mackenzie Allen Charmley, ICT News.
We are all children born of water. It is where all life begins. Water embraces and protects us. We revere it in our homes. We need to live close to water. It nourishes and cleanses us. All living things know this. Sometimes water is gentle and floats in the air. Sometimes water is harsh and powerful. Sometimes it catches the sun's rays. Water changes with the seasons, alive and always moving, even when no one is looking. Water is patient. Water endures. Water brings clarity. Water purifies our thoughts. Water brings us together. Water is holy. Water helps us heal. Water is medicine.
We are the breath of this land and national parks.
Listen, and you will hear our ancestors at these sacred places.
We are indigenous to these lands, the original caretakers.
The stories that tie this nation together. We are our ancestors, the hope of the future. We will not be forgotten.
In early December, a new series called My Life with the Walter Boys hit screens on Netflix. Since then, the very popular show has been trending on the streaming service's top 10 list and was recently renewed for a second season. Isaac Arias is a Hopi and Mexican actor who plays Isaac Garcia, and he joins me now in our Phoenix studio. Isaac, welcome to the ICT Newscast.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
I want to jump in and talk about My Life with the Walter Boys, but first I want to talk about your Hopi heritage and a little bit more about your background.
I would grow up, and every single year I would go to up to the res, and we're from Hopevilla, so yeah, my parents would bring me out there, my mom specifically, because she wanted me to be, you know, more tied to the roots of where I came from, and it became something that was, you know, I held very, very close to home, and I hold very close to home now. My people are like just a blessing and have shown me unconditional love.
We know that My Life with the Walter Boys has been super popular. At one point, it was in the top 10 in, I believe, 32 different countries. Was there a particular moment where it hit you that, like, this was super big?
Yeah, there was a specific moment. So Netflix, of course, has an Instagram page, and when I realized it was a really big deal and it was doing well on Netflix was when Netflix had Team Cole or Team Alex in their bio, and I was like, what the heck? So that was a really, really, really great moment, but even just seeing my castmates just excel and, you know, with just the rising of followers that they were gifted, even just seeing Noah and Nikki going to award shows and stuff like that. Those are my other castmates. They were the leads that played Cole and Jackie. But yeah, no, it was insane. I didn't personally. I knew it was going to be big, but it was just on a different level than I expected. So it was a blessing for sure to be a part of it, and you know, the people liked me, so that's always great, you know what I mean? So
I don't think people just like you. I think that they love you. I've seen a lot of online chatter talking about social media, and they've actually coined something called the Isaac effect. So tell us what that is.
Yeah, so I had watched the show and I had heard that phrase for the first time, and I thought it was going to stick with, you know, with Cole or Alex, you know, Alex effect, Cole effect. But that's all that's in my TikTok comments or Instagram comments. It's like, what about the Isaac effect? But Isaac, in the show with the Cole effect, it's like, how do I explain this? So Cole kind of just has this effect around girls and they just kind of are really attracted to him or like him, or so it's kind of just like this effortless thing for Cole that he just kind of attracts. So they're saying that about Isaac. So I mean that's pretty cool. I don't really know what I'm doing, but yeah. So that's all I see. So can't really complain. You know what I mean? So.
I actually want to learn more about your experience because aside from My Life with the Walter Boys, you were also on an episode of FX's Reservation Dogs.
Yeah.
Given that, you know, now you've gotten to work with a cast of non-native actors, what was it like to be on the Res Dogs set and, you know, be with a bunch of other Indigenous people?
It was an amazing experience. I even told my mom after we had left Oklahoma that it was like just one of the greatest experiences I've had on set. Just like the humor still stuck there, and just like seeing my people everywhere. It was great, and even meeting Quana and DeFaro, Paulina. You know, I can't really think of it like all the names, but everybody was just so loving and just, you know, brought me in. Just like when I'm going to see my people in my personal village, it's just like I said, this is unconditional love, and they're so welcoming. And
it's such an exciting time, I think, right now to be an Indigenous actor. I mean, we're seeing folks like Lily Gladstone get her flowers on some of the biggest stages that exist. For you, though, what are your personal goals, and where do you hope that you're at in 5 or 10 years from now?
I just want to prove to anybody that doesn't have hope or that has kind of lost hope throughout the years of me and, you know, my hopefully future success, that anything, and it sounds cliche, but anything you put your mind to, like, it is 1,000,000% possible. And just even with, you know, the Indigenous kids, and I know I haven't grown up the same way that they have, but I'm a nobody, and if a nobody can do it, they 1,000,000% can, and everybody has different callings.
Well, Isaac, thank you so much for joining us today.
No, thank you. It was an absolute pleasure.
The beginning of 2024 has been award season. From television to movies, we saw Indigenous people on the red carpet at major events, except at what some would call the biggest night in music. Out of the 94 categories in this year's Grammys, Native people weren't present in any of them. That comes as the Grammys eliminated the category for Native American music in 2011. ICT's Paris Wise asked experts why Native American musicians were left out and what needs to change.
Recording Academy member and musician Connor Chi shares that without enough voting members on the inside to get them nominations, representation stays out of reach.
Well, you know, this past year we had more Native entries than ever before that I've seen, which was exciting. And it goes back to that same point, is even though there were more entries and more Native artists on the ballot, we didn't have the voting members because not everybody that was entered knew the whole process behind campaigning and trying to get votes from voting members. And so they were on the ballot. The next step is to have sort of the guidance on how to go through the process to get your music out there and heard by voting members, and getting voting members that are experts in the field, like Native voting members, people that know the music, that understand it, who can cast their votes based on their knowledge and understanding and coming from the community. So I think we're one step there, where we have now more people on the ballot. And so the next step is to get more voting members so that they can actually give a real representation of our music and what should be highlighted.
While the Recording Academy has its own set of rules, Native artists like PJ Vegas are making their own.
We know who we are, we know what we bring to the table, but a lot of the industry isn't really sure of what we got. And they don't really understand that we do a lot more than what they think we do. So whether we have a category or not, if what we're putting out into the world isn't on the same level as our favorite household names, there's kind of a disconnect there, and it kind of the corporate people asking, okay, like, well, why do we need to shed light on this? Why is this such a big deal? It's because they're not really realizing that we're not only speaking for us as an artist, but we're speaking for an entire culture, an entire generation, a whole group of people. And it's not just ourselves. Like, music is very singular. It's very about the artist and the star. And I feel like when natives move and we're in a room, it's more about us representing for our people.
A wave of Native talent has made it into the spotlight in film and television in the past year. Will it happen for music too? Music artist and Reservation Dogs composer Mato Wayuhi says it will, but it's just a matter of when.
I think what we'll see is similar to what we saw within film and television, where it felt like it was out of nowhere in terms of all of these, Native artists kind of becoming. But the truth is that it's been happening for generations, for, thousands of years. And so it's kind of, a lot of this stuff I've noticed is when the rest of the world is ready for us, not necessarily when we're ready, because we've been ready and we've been creating our sound and creating our cultures and maintaining culture and maintaining tradition while finding contemporary lenses to tell it through. So yeah, it's kind of when the rest of the world is ready for Native music, I believe.
Looking forward on how to gain visibility may require a look at the past, something musicologist and classically trained pianist Renata Yazzie has encountered in her studies.
Native people have been engaging with Western music and Western ideas of music for hundreds of years now. And I think we bring a really great mindset and philosophy behind music and integrate that into whatever kinds of sounds we're interested in producing. A lot of people like to say, music is medicine, and sometimes it can sound a little corny, but I think it's true. There is a healing element to music that our communities really tend to prioritize, and that has stayed the same over the hundreds of years that we've been involved with music. But I think what has evolved is, the technologies that we have been exposed to and the technologies that we've invented ourselves, and just new ways to make sound that's always evolving.
From evolution to revolution, Native music artists of the past paved a way for the new generations.
So for me, I just felt so lucky growing up because I had an example of like Native excellence, like someone that actually came from, the background of, trying to break through these barriers and trying to kick open these doors. And like, they actually had the opportunity to do it. Right. So Redbone really showing that representation on the main screen and the main stage was something that really inspired us all. But I feel like after my dad's era, there was this giant wave where everything was so Native influenced during the 70s and early 80s. And then for a while, it kind of died down. And we kind of went dormant for a while. And there was not a lot of proper representation, or if any, within music or film or anything.
So what opportunities are available in the music industry today? Joe Picara has won 3 Grammys for his work as a tour photographer, where he has found power behind the scenes.
I think people behind the camera can kind of help push things or have more say than someone in front of the camera, because I don't have a PR next to me. I don't have anyone running my Instagram or, telling me what I can or can't say. So to me, I think we kind of are in a more powerful place behind the scenes because of that. And I think we should take more advantage of that than we are. There's so many ways to succeed, whether it be filming or photography or directing or writing songs or coaching or management, anything like that. There's so many more ways that I think are closed off from people to see that you can be in this industry and not just have to, have a main part in a movie or anything like that. And there's so many different arts within the art of the industry.
Regardless of representation at the Grammys, nominations don't determine validation.
Representation is not necessarily going to save us. There's going to be good Native music wherever you go. There's going to be good Native music, whether or not the Grammys recognizes it. And I think when we, in our communities, when we listen to folks who are involved in the community and who uplift the community and who are really there working in our communities to make it a better place. And they make good music. I think those are the people who are worth recognizing. And that is what really matters is, are these musicians making a difference in the places that they come from and for, our relatives?
For me personally, just as a musician and as an artist, I think it's good to have those external goals of awards and validation and things like that. But I know many of us as Native artists, it's just a privilege to be able to make music in and of itself and to put on for our communities and our people. And so that is a huge, bonus. And in terms of priorities and whatnot, sometimes those differ from even what the Grammys might necessitate in terms of being nominated and things like that. But yeah, I think we're well on our way to finding what it means for us to be represented and what it means for us to be nominated as well. So,
Paris Wise, ICT News.
And that's a slice of our Indigenous world. For all the latest, visit ictnews.org. From all of us in the newsroom, stay safe, my relatives.
This program is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.